Before this video starts, I just want to clarify that I do not want to throw any form of shade towards VULCRON by making this video. I like Pixel Strike 3D and it's a good game in my opinion, but as much as I like the game, there are a few things which bothers me a lot to a certain point where I just want to quit the game at this point. You will also see me comparing Pixel Strike 3D to many other shooting games, such as Critical Ops and PUBG Mobile. And that's because I've recently been so addicted to these two games. There were some features and mechanics I wish that they also existed in Pixel Strike 3D, so bear with me upon this. I know this will be hard to comprehend for some of you, but Pixel Strike 3D is unfortunately facing a slow death. It's kinda like that Pixel Strike 3D has developed some sort of addiction to crack and cocaine, and it's only getting progressively worse and worse. If you take a look around in the Pixel Strike 3D YouTube community, you should notice that many YouTubers have already given up on Pixel Strike 3D. And I'm not here to blame them, but also myself. I haven't uploaded a single Pixel Strike 3D video in 2018, apart from 5 update reviews and 1 montage, so I haven't been very active in the community either. My intention with this video is to point out the most important things that VULCRON needs to be focusing on, and things that they need to focus less on to hopefully prevent the death of Pixel Strike 3D. The first thing that I want to talk about is controls. If I have to be completely honest, when I compare the control set of Pixel Strike 3D to other games, I actually really appreciate the amount of freedom we have to remap the controls wherever we want on the screen, allowing us to literally make the controls fill up almost the entire screen, and the implementation of the control layouts is genius. But instead of stopping right here, why don't we strive for the better? We have such freedom to customize our controls to our own likings, but it's sad to see that VULCRON doesn't take much advantage over it. We need more options to take advantage over things, like being able to remove HUD and to change the control opacity. I'm also very furious about the fact that we cannot change our perspective by swiping from the left side of the screen. If you try to do that, the game will simply not allow you to do that, and contrary to other games like Critical Ops, PUBG Mobile, and even Pixel Gun 3D allows you to swipe from the left side of the screen and the right side simultaneously. Absolutely tired of my character suddenly stops moving when my finger slides to the left side of the screen. So to sum things up, we need the ability to remove HUD. This will be actually very useful for content creators, just saying VULCRON. And we also need the ability to adjust the control opacity, and we should also be allowed to swipe anywhere on the screen to change our perspective. Whilst we have this covered up now, let's move on to my next point, which is the sensitivity. The sensitivity in Pixel Strike 3D is horrible at its current state, or at least it was before the 6.3.0 update, but I still have some problems with it. My suggestion to make the sensitivity function even better is by adding X and Y sensitivity and aim acceleration. And if you don't know what they mean, let me briefly explain to you what they mean. Let's start off with the X and Y sensitivity. By having X and Y sensitivity, you actually have two different kinds of sensitivity. You will have a horizontal sensitivity, which is your X sensitivity, and you will have a vertical sensitivity, which is your Y sensitivity. And aim acceleration causes your perspective to accelerate the longer you hold a certain direction. So to sum the things up from this category, we need X and Y sensitivity and aim acceleration. And now let's move on to the next category. The third thing which I'm going to be talking about is the lack of optimizations. The game is so badly optimized for certain devices. Text boxes do not fit in both my iPad and Galaxy S8. I cannot check the recall stats on my Galaxy S8. There's no back button in some places in the loadout section, so you'd have to exit and refresh the actual app if you don't want to change your loadout, which is so annoying. And the quit button is so hard to click on because it's literally placed in the very corner of my device, and also because VULCRON have decided to remove the box behind it. It's so frustrating when I want to leave a game, and I end up quitting the game instead. My solution to this problem is by adding an invisible border around the quit button, so that it is easier for players who use phones like the Galaxy S8, Mate 20 Pro, or even the iPhone 10 just because of the cornered display. We can also add a box behind the button like it was before, But I wouldn't doubt that VULCRON would love to maintain the cleanness and sleekness of the new design, so an invisible border might be the best solution for this problem. Also, add a button that would say something like return to main menu if you fail to connect to your friend's room, instead of having to exit out of the actual app, refresh it and then return. It's just not fun when there's so many unnecessary steps, yet there's so many opportunities to patch them. Those are certainly small things, but it would definitely make our Pixelstrike 3D experience a little bit better in my opinion. It will also be super beneficial for Android users if VULCRON could support the back button that is integrated in the Android system. Honestly, if they did that, that would be amazing. But enough about optimizations, let's move on to the next thing here in the list. The fourth thing I want to talk about is VULCRON ID. My experience with VULCRON ID has not really been the best. In fact, I feel like it has messed up my account. First of all, why is it necessary that you need to get a new password for every single time that you need to log in? I mean, I understand that it's for security, but I would much rather have one password than creating a new one every single time I need to log in. Like, it would be awesome if we would get that as an option or something. And when you are in the process of logging in, to get your new password, you must now exit the app, go into your email app, and there you should be able to find your new password. But why is there so many steps, and on top of that, you cannot even copy and paste your new password. You must type in every single digit one by one. So when I did that, I'll tell you guys what happened. But before I do that, let me tell you guys a little backstory, just so you can better understand what I'm trying to say. So, to those who didn't know this, I have two accounts. I have my iOS account, which is my main account, and I also have my Android account, which is my secondary account, and also the device I use to make videos on, just because I really love the aspect ratio of my Galaxy S8. So, one day I wanted to link my Android device with my iOS account, and this is where the things went downhill. First of all, I lost my YouTube trail on both Android and iOS. Second of all, my account would only display my YouTube rank on my iOS device. It would simply not display that I'm a YouTuber on my Android, and that is so annoying. But other than that, everything looked well. Like I have, for example, my custom skins, I have my prestige helmets, I have my rank, I have my accessories, I have my weapon skins, and I even have my golden tomahawk. But there was one thing that was missing, and that was my loadouts. It was only missing on my Android. I still have all 15 loadouts of mine on my iOS account. And I also tried to refresh the game several times on my Android, hoping that the loadouts would appear, and they just won't. And also, when I for example level up on my Android device, the game wouldn't even update it on my iOS account, despite even logging into the same account. I mean, what is this? And this occurs with coins, credits, and even stats as well. They just won't update. The only thing that updates on both devices are my followers. There are two ways of fixing this issue. Either VULCRON needs to start polishing the VULCRON ID, or let us connect our Pixelstrike 3D accounts to a Facebook or Twitter account, just like how it is in PUBG Mobile and Critical Ops. The fifth thing that I'm going to be talking about is the infamous CROSSHAIR. Actually, I was originally going to be talking about the CROSSHAIR, but VULCRON were apparently ahead of me on this. Ever since the version 4.0.0, I've always wanted VULCRON to fix the CROSSHAIR, but right after the 6.3.0 update was released, I have nothing else to complain about. Though there are some additional changes that I would love to see in the near future, and those specific changes are CROSSHAIR settings. Games like PUBG Mobile and Critical Ops already provide players with CROSSHAIR settings which allows the players to change the crosshair size, color, and switching between a static or a dynamic crosshair, allowing players to customize their own crosshairs to their own personal preferences. I'd love to see this implemented in some way in Pixelstrike 3D, but enough said about crosshairs, let's move on to the next thing here in the list, which is events. The sixth thing that I want to talk about is events. Now don't get me wrong here, I really do think that events are good. It reminds me so much of battle passes from Fortnite and royal passes from PUBG Mobile. which is a really good thing because you can obtain rare items through these events, and I absolutely admire the idea that you can choose whatever you want from the event, if you however have enough candies to afford them. But my only problem I have with events are the way that candies are earned. You see, for example, in the last event that we had, you could only earn candies by playing on the Christmas themed maps. This isn't the greatest idea anymore, since maps will change whenever the match is finished. You have to be very lucky that you can play on a Christmas themed map, and that's the only reason why I do not like the way that candies are earned. In my opinion, we should be able to earn candies through every single maps. Now, events are not a new thing to the game, they have existed for almost 3 years ago. I think that the first one was released in the summer of 2016 or the Halloween, but that doesn't really matter for this video here. My point is that events existed before the 4.0.0 update, and before the 4.0.0 update, maps would be locked. So for example, if you're playing on the Summer Garden, you will always be playing on that map even if the match is finished. You would just respawn in the map after the match is finished, and you can even select which maps you wanted to play on. But maps are no longer locked, hence why I think that we should be able to earn candies through every single maps. And last but not least, the cherry on top of the diarrhea shake. Ladies and gentlemen, let me reveal the last topic that I'm going to be talking about in this video. And the topic is server lag and glitches. And oh my god, how this game has a bunch of it. To play on a laggy server is not always a fantastic feeling, but my god, how PixelStrike3D takes that to the next level. You will see in the following clip that people are just teleporting around maps, passing through solid objects, and spawning outside of maps. It's nearly impossible to get a kill when the game is behaving like that, and I've even seen people in the chat typing how laggy and unresponsible the servers are. This lag does not always happen, but when it does, it's a literal nightmare. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention that this only happens when I play on my iPad? I can't really say that this happens to every iPad or every iOS devices, since I don't have another iOS device that can run this game properly. I have never experienced a similar bug on my Android, which is surprisingly funny to me. And that's another reason why I also only make PixelStrike3D videos on my Android. However, I have experienced a few bugs on my Android, but they typically do not ruin my whole game experience, just like what my iOS device does. But yeah, I think this was pretty much the end of the video. I'll probably make a part 2 where I'll talk about smaller things, such as an invisibility countdown and other small ideas that could benefit the game even more. But as I was saying, that's the end of the video. My name is CynicHD, and I'm signing off. Peace.